Hey guys, I got that load delivered, and now I'm sitting over here to pick up my next load, and got a little time on my hands, so we'll throw up a part three to this. A couple things I didn't mention earlier. Like I said, I had to think about it. When you're set up and you're out and running, you need to have access to, say, 2,500, 3,000, up to 5,000. I mean, really, you got to be able to access money at 3 o'clock in the morning. The reason I say that is you break down, service call, whatever. A lot of guys try to use their debit cards. Well, banks will. I have my debit card at my bank set up for the $2,000 daily limit, which usually is enough. But occasionally, I run into a situation where I got to pay $2,000 on this debit card and put the rest on that credit card and whatever. But you've got to be set up to where 3 o'clock in the morning, you got a service call side of the road, you got a bill you got to pay. They're not letting you move until you pay that bill. So, just keep that in mind to have maybe have your maintenance account set up with a debit card with a high limit. And then, of course, don't use that card anywhere except for, maintenance stuff. But, so yeah, you gotta have access to large amounts of money for, the occasional, and they're going to happen. They always do. The service calls there, repair bills, that sort of thing. Saturday, you got to pay the bill on Saturday at, say, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You can't call the bank and raise your limit unless you're, thinking ahead of time on Friday. Hey, I got to pay a bill tomorrow. You set my limit at 7,000 for the day. So that you can use that debit card or whatever the case may be. But that's one thing you need to think about. Another thing is, I had a comment on the part two video. I think it was part two, but had a comment about, I got to put some shades on. It is bright out here. I had a comment on part two about carrying parts, and the commenter was saying that they were thinking alternators and starters, and that to me is a bit excessive. They're pretty readily available out here on the road. Starter, alternator, starter at least is going to give you an indication that it's going bad before it goes bad. So if you start having on the cold starts, you're dragging a little bit, not wanting to quite crank up, it's one of two things. You're getting weak batteries, or your starter's getting a dead spot. If you turn the key and you get click, 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 and then it starts up, that's your starter giving you a warning. I'm about to puke on you, so just, usually you can catch those before they go bad. Alternator, they're going to work until one day they just stop. And you're like, oh crap, that comes into, I don't carry an alternator with me. I watch my voltage gauge, and if for some reason my lights are getting dimmer and the voltage gauge is dropping, I'm immediately finding parts and, veering my route to get over to get some parts. And I won't shut the truck off until I know I've got the alternator and I can fix it right in the parking lot. Takes all of about 10 minutes to change an alternator. But spare belts, that's a good thing. You definitely want to carry spare belts. All the different sizes of belts. The N14, I think, has three different size belts. Four belts. You got your two serpentines, and you got your alternator, and then you got your AC. So yeah, 4 different belts on the N14. So, I've got one of each. Whenever I change them and they're getting some wear on them, I keep the old ones as long as they're not broken, throw them in the side box. That's my get to the shop or get off the side of the road. It's not for the long haul. It's just, okay, I broke a belt. I know I got a spare back here. Throw one on there and let's, get her on down the road and get a new belt later. Buy 2. That way you're putting your junk one back in the box, or you're buying another new one, whatever trips your trigger. Another thing I was talking about, buying older trucks. One problem you might run into is a lot of lenders out there today, they don't want to sell, they don't want to finance equipment that's older than, say, 3 years, 5 years. Some have a 6-7 year cutoff, some have a 10-year cutoff. Well, to get back to 07, you're going up there. There is alternative lenders, especially for a first-time truck buyer. You're going to get nailed anyway. They're going to get you for a pretty catastrophic interest rate. Don't be afraid of it. Just do it. Get you a truck. That's why I in my world, if I had to start over from scratch right now, I'd go buy an old Freightliner Columbia 99. 2000, no, not a 2000. I like paper logs. And the company I'm with they'll let you run paper if you're e-log exempt. A lot of companies won't. But in my situation, my company will let me run paper if I have a 99 or older engine. Not the truck, but the engine. That's what the law reads, is if your power unit is 99 or older, December the 31st of 1999 or older, you're exempt from electronic logbooks. That's how I run a 2013 truck with a 99 engine, and I run paper logs legally. But if I had to start over, I'd go buy an old cheap Freightliner. You can pick them up, even with today's stupid prices on these trucks. You can pick up an old Freightliner for 15 to 20 grand. Yeah, you're going to finance it through somebody and put down $2,000 or $3,000, and you might have a 15, 18%, 20% interest rate. Don't worry about it. Get the truck bought. Get that truck paid for. It'll pay off pretty quick. Get that truck paid off. Now, you're not a first-time truck buyer. You've already got a truck. That truck is your down payment on your next truck. I used to trade in trucks. I don't anymore because they are really good about getting you coming and going, man. They give you bottom dollar for your trade in and then charge you top dollar for the truck they're selling you, and they're getting you coming and going. So when I'm ready to buy a second truck, I've got the money in the bank. I'll go find the truck I want, and I'll put 10% down and buy the truck. And then once I get that truck bought, I get it home and go through it and get everything ready to go to do what I needed to do. Then I switch over, and then the old truck, over the next week or two, I'll get her cleaned up and shined up, polished up, throw it up on Facebook Marketplace, and I get full retail value out of the truck. I don't let them get me coming and going. They're getting me going. They're selling me a truck, but I've never bought a truck and was friends with the salesman afterwards. Because I'm not paying your price. Sorry, you're asking too much for that truck. I'll call another guy. You're gonna sell me a truck. You're gonna give me a deal. Yeah, no, don't worry about high interest rates getting started. They're gonna nail you no matter what. First time truck buyer, they're gonna nail you unless you can put down a huge chunk of money. They call it buying down your interest rates. But myself, just to get started, go get you an old truck, and don't try to run cross country in an old wore out truck. Well, I say wore out. These trucks will run indefinitely. As they break, you fix them. As long as your frame rails aren't rusted into, run that old girl. She'll keep on going, and she'll make you a lot of daggone money. Get you an old cheap truck. It's going to be a reliable truck. Yeah, I'm sure you're going to have a little gremlins running around. You're going to have to fix a few things that whoever owned the truck didn't bother fixing. It happens all the time. Once you get the bugs worked out of it, that'll be a good old reliable truck. You're instantly going to start building up your savings account, so you've got your nest egg for the blown engine. So your real danger zone is that first 6 months of getting started up. That's where, if you've got good credit, talk with your bank. You're going to start a company, whether you're sole proprietor or an LLC, either one. You really want to look into getting a business line of credit through your bank. A safe number is $25,000, $20,000 to $25,000, $30,000. That'll cover just about anything you could think of on that old truck. Because what it is, it's a pre-approved line of credit that you're not borrowing any money, but you're already approved that if you need it, you literally write a check and then call the bank and say, hey, I need to tap into that line of credit. I'm writing a check for $17,000. Can you? And they'll deposit that into your checking account and then take a ledger that you now owe them $17,000, and you've tapped into that line of credit. If you don't use it, I think my bank charges, I think it's like $100, $150 a year for a maintenance fee or whatever to keep that line of credit open. Rarely ever use it, but that $150, it's a tax write-off, number one, but number two, I sleep so much better at night than knowing that in situations like right now, the economy is so slow and so, you don't know from one day to the next what load you're going to do, because it's just, we're hauling miscellaneous whatever we can get because it's so incredibly slow right now. I don't have to worry. If I were to blow an engine tomorrow, with a phone call, that engine's rebuilt, done, up and running. Don't be afraid of credit. You're gonna, there'll be times where you're gonna have to go into debt to get something fixed and taken care of, but don't let that debt sit. Pay it off fast. 20% interest rate. If you pay it off in half the time, it's kind of similar to having a 10% interest rate. So make big payments. You get a truck bought, I wouldn't make oversized payments on the first truck you buy until you get that savings account built up. Once you get that savings account at 20 grand, then start making triple truck payments, quadruple truck payments. Pay that dude off in, just a few months. Bing, 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 done. Now you got a paid for truck that's 100% equity. You've got a savings account to fix anything on that old truck. You are safe and established at that point. But I would stay fairly close to home. I tried hauling steel here where I'm at. I'm never more than 4.5 hours from home. I stay riding around, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, occasionally go into Kentucky, but don't care for Kentucky too much. But you know, if you want to run all around the Midwest, there's truck dealers everywhere. The parts are readily available everywhere you go. You know, if you break down on the side of the road, doesn't matter where you're at, you got a phone, you know, Google roadside repair, blah, 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 and there's parts available pretty much 24/7. You know, just, I'm not afraid to run an old truck down the road. But that's basically the two things I wanted to cover, is be able to be set up to where you can access money in the middle of the night, and don't be afraid to buy an old truck. In fact, I would recommend, as long as you know how to, you know, little things like change the batteries, change an alternator, fix a broken wire, something like that. As long as you're reasonably competent with a tool, buy you an old truck. It's a heck of a lot cheaper. You know, brakes and drums and tires, it's going to be the same as a new truck. That maintenance doesn't change. But the old truck, where you're going to save a ton of money with that old truck, is you're not going to be fooling with the DEF, the sensors, the regen, the filters, the this or that, the other. No, none of that crap. That truck is going to turn on, fire up, and run. You know, I carry, you know, I'll do a video about what all I carry in my truck, but, you know, oil and antifreeze and just your basic stuff that can really screw you up if you don't have them when you need them, you know. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much off the top of my head. That's about all I can think of. You want to get started to be an owner-operator, just get you a good old truck, have you a good shop lined up, get the right parts, build that savings account really fast, and I would say, above all, the most important thing you can have is a never give up attitude. You're not going to have good days every day. Not every day's a gravy day. Some days are biscuit days. Myself, I don't concern myself with the bad days, because the good days right around the corner, and no matter what happens, nobody's going to stop me. I'm unstoppable. I'm out here. I'll find a way. That may not always be apparent when, you know how things are. One door closes, another door opens. You know, most people tend to focus on the door that closed. Myself, I start looking around for the open door. You know, just keep your head up, be positive, don't ever give up, don't ever quit, and don't let anybody else outwork you. Don't let yourself be outdone. Get it. If you're going to do it, you got to go 100%. There's no, you know, half-assing it out here. I'm only going to work 2 or 3 days. If you think you're going to become an owner-operator so that you could just, you know, I'll only work when I want to work, no. You're thinking wrong. If you're going to become an owner-operator, you're going to work your butt off. And not only are you going to work your butt off driving the truck, but when you get home, now you got paperwork to do, maintenance on the truck to do. You know, you wear all the hats. You're the safety guy. You're the maintenance guy. You're the, you know, you're the money guy. You're the driver. You're everything. I wear many hats. The work doesn't always stop when the load's delivered. But, you know, if you keep up with your maintenance and take care of your equipment, I can, you know, 9 weekends out of 10, I pull in the driveway and turn the key off, walk away, and forget about it. She's good to go. I know she is. You know, I don't have to tweak on stuff. Of course, this time of the year in the winter, you got your broken wires and corroded wires and, you know, little stuff like that. You're always going to have that. But don't be afraid. Don't be outworked. Don't give up. Don't ever quit. You know, that's all I can say. If anybody have any questions, anything else that maybe I didn't cover, or specific concerns, whatever, as always, put them in the comments. That's what this channel's about. You know, any questions at all. The only stupid question is the one not asked. So, and also do me a favor and subscribe to the channel and like the video. And if you don't like the video, give it a thumbs down. But try to make some kind of a comment or something, you know. Good job, great video, great hair, you're so handsome, whatever, you know, pound sand loser, I don't care, but make some kind of a comment. I'd appreciate it. We'll catch y'all later.